Hey, good morning, gentlemen. My name is Richard Mugica, and I am the founder of the Onward Men Podcast, a podcast built specifically for high-performance men that want to grow in income and impact and dominate your God-given purpose. And today, gentlemen, is what I call Money Friday. Talking about your finances, how you deal with your money, how you build wealth as a man in a world that says thinking about money or having success is bad, is evil, is not good, is not important. Gentlemen, there is nothing more important than having some money on your side. Of course, gentlemen, there's other things that are important. Of course, you got to have time with your family. Of course, success isn't everything and money isn't everything. But people who say that, men who say that, what they're really saying is that I'm broke. Because, gentlemen, as I always say, unless you think something is important, you will not have any of it. So I want to switch your mind frame or your mindset today and get you thinking about money in the right way. And before I get into it, I am all about the 5 M's of manhood, which are money, mission, muscles, mindset, and of course, marriage. And I believe, guys, with all of my heart, that you got to have all 5 if you want to be considered a high performance man. So let me tell you a little story to kind of start this podcast off, gentlemen, about money and about wealth. Before I ever got into sales, before I ever got into franchising and selling coaching packages I was working for my dad. I was doing a aerospace job, right? And I absolutely hated it. Absolutely hated it. But nonetheless, it was a job. I was married at the time. I had a couple kids. I had to pay the bills. So I was working this aerospace job. And at the time, I was making about $40,000 a year. And I think that equates, gentlemen, to somewhere around $32,000 or $4,000 a month or something like that, somewhere in that ballpark. And I remember, man, I was working hard, right? It was kind of a sweatshop. I did a lot of packaging. I did a lot of production stuff. And I was going here, I was going there. And it was, sweaty. And I remember just walking in every day like, oh man, another day. Well, gentlemen, I did that for close to about 6 years, believe it or not. But this is the funny part, right? This is the funny part. Once I got into my new profession of selling, right? That's when I realized that money and time have no correlation on this planet. There is no correlation, gentlemen, between how much money you make and how much time and effort you put in. And the way I realized this is because once I got into sales, I would make more in commission in 1 hour than I would an entire month of working for my other job. Think about that, gentlemen. I'd make more in 1 hour than I would for an entire month doing another job. And believe me, that month I worked a lot harder. I was sweating a lot more. I was doing a lot more stuff. I was putting in a lot more hours, yet I was not making anything. So I quickly realized, gentlemen, that money and time have no correlation. And I started understanding that money is not attracted to time. Money is not attracted to how much work you put in. Money is not attracted to how much effort you put in. There are tons of people, gentlemen, and that are working really, really hard, that are out there every day working 12-hour days, going from one job to the next job, supporting their family, and they're working like dogs. They're grinding, they're hustling. And guess what? They're not making the money that they want to make. They're barely scraping by. So one thing that this world society has done to most men is we've trapped us into the thinking that we got to put in more time to make more money. And it couldn't be any further from the truth. I know men that have made millions of dollars in a couple days. And I know men that made $1 million after 30 years of working. And so, guys, with that being said, I want to break you free from the mindset and the mold that you got to work hard, that you got to put in the time, that you got to grind, that you got to go out there and just sweat your tail off to make a living. It is not the case, right? You got to know value, right? The more value you have in the marketplace, the more value you can provide for somebody, the more money you will make. And eventually you might be able to get to a place where you make more in half an hour than you do in an entire month. You might make more than in an hour than you do in an entire year, because time and money have no correlation. And one of my mentors said, he said, Rich, most people are conditioned to think that they have to work a job that they don't like to get paid. For instance, he's like, how many people pay their children to do chores? Do you pay your children to do chores? Well, essentially what you're doing, gentlemen, is you're conditioning your child that he has to do something he doesn't like in order to get paid. And that's why when you ask most people, do they like their job? 87% of people will say that they're not really fond of their job. So why does somebody stay in a job that they don't like over and over and over, getting paid what they don't want to get paid? Because the human mind, the human body, the human condition, we have been conditioned and conditioned and conditioned to think that time equals money, that hourly pay is the way to go, that salary is the way that we need to go. Gentlemen, realize today that your value is not based off of time, right? Just because you work 2 hours and your employer gives you $40 for those 2 hours, well, it's all made up. Money is made up, right? He just said, okay, I'm going to put $20 an hour on this, right? I'm going to give this guy $15 an hour. Gentlemen, it's all made up. They're putting a value on your time. The only one that should be doing that is you. How much value do you want for your time? And you get to decide that in the marketplace. So I hope this podcast, guys, opens your mind a little bit and gets you away from time equals money. It couldn't be further from the truth. They have no correlation. There is nothing that says that in the playbook. It's all a human conditioned response that we've been taught over and over in schooling, from our parents, from this person, from friends. Gentlemen, break the mold, dominate your freaking day, and do what you want to do. Increase your value in the marketplace, and eventually you'll get to a spot where you're making more in an hour than you are in a year. And that's what I want for you, gentlemen. And with that being said, man, this podcast, guys, is growing. This podcast is growing. So I hope that I'm helping men, because my mission and our vision at Onward Men is to make men better, is to get you to be better. Because when men get better, gentlemen, the world gets better, society gets better, nations get better. And that is our vision, and that is our mission, to help one man at a time dominate life, to win at life. And I want to see you win today, gentlemen. So don't back down, never surrender, keep moving forward, get back up 100,000 times if you have to, because you only fail if you quit. Man, I'm fired up. All right, gentlemen. And of course, if you want to dominate your life, if you feel stuck as a man, if you feel stuck like I did, making not the money you want to make, you feel trapped, you don't know your next move, you're not sure how to get to that income you want to get to, you're not sure how to dominate your purpose, then I invite you to go to richardmugica.com/man up and apply there if you think you got what it takes. All right, gentlemen, I want to see you dominate. Make sure to share the podcast if this is helping you, and we're going to see you on Monday for Muscle Monday. Peace.